Good afternoon. I don't know whether my gadget here. Good afternoon. My name is Pumla Williams. We are just about to commence with the post-cabinet briefing that will be addressed by the Minister in the Presidency, Minister Ntshavheni. And it's over to you, Minister.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen and members of the media. This is a post-cabinet briefing that follows the virtual cabinet meeting held yesterday on the 4th of August 2021 on environmental issues. The first issue is the coronavirus vaccine rollout program. South Africa's national vaccine rollout program has fully gathered pace, and the health sector, both public and private, vaccinates a minimum of 1 million people in 3 days. To date, over 8 million South Africans have been vaccinated, and at the current pace, the President should soon announce a revised target date for the country to reach population immunity. Cabinet continues to call on South Africans to vaccinate, as it remains our most effective weapon in the fight against COVID-19, and people can now go to any vaccination site with their identity documents, even without an appointment, to be registered and vaccinated. Cabinet welcomed the delivery of 5.6 million Pfizer vaccines this week, which were donated by the United States of America, which will ensure an adequate supply of vaccines to intensify our vaccination rollout program. And with this, we want to thank the national group, the breadwinners, the people of fascinators and dress codes and vaccine attires and gloves for gaining us momentum. We are looking forward to the 10 million by early next week with your full participation. And we are also looking forward to the 1st of September, the Spring Day vaccination group, AMA 2000, the people of Spiripiri and cooler boxes and other things to join, because with that group, we are going to reach our herd immunity when we kick in. It's indeed a great pleasure for us as a nation that the group that is most economically active has come to the party to get this population into a vaccination mode. But we still continue to urge the elderly, those above 60, to come and vaccinate, because when the 2000 join, the 18 to 34 years old join, the queues are going to be hectic. So we are pleading with the 35 to 49 to bring along your parents and your elder siblings for the vaccination program, because if we don't vaccinate them, they remain most vulnerable. And as a country, we do not want to go through another wave of the pandemic. We want to keep the economy open, and this is the best way to vaccinate, to get the economy to remain open even when the pandemic is on. And Cabinet noted the significant decline in infections cases in South Africa after the country officially surpassed the peak of the third wave. However, 4 provinces, which are Western Cape, although today they've just announced that they've reached a peak, Northern Cape, Northwest and Free State have been recording increases on their daily infection rates. Cabinet reiterated its call to all people of South Africa to continue adhering to the prevention protocols of masking up, washing up, maintaining 1.5 meter social distance, and avoiding large gatherings and public places. On opening of schools, Cabinet welcomed the smooth opening of schools, especially in the return of all primary pupils to daily classes. Cabinet urged all schools to continue to work within the established COVID-19 health protocols. The decision to return all primary pupils to daily classes was taken after considering the best interests of the child, and it will help to recover the learning time that was lost during the hard national lockdown. On the public service wage agreement, Cabinet thanked public servants and those involved in the salary negotiations for putting our nation and her people first, following the recent signing of the collective agreement on wage increases in the public service. Cabinet is pleased that all parties showed collective leadership and a steely resolve to find a solution that benefits public servants and citizens, and calls on everyone to move forward in this same spirit of partnership and patriotism. On the update on the security situation, Cabinet welcomed the efforts of law enforcement agencies to speedily restore stability to the provinces of KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng. Cabinet also commended law enforcement agencies for the progress they are making in bringing to book those responsible for the incitement of the violence, and we would like to reassure South Africans that no stone will be left unturned to bring to justice those responsible for the unrest that took place in the two provinces. To date, 6 suspects have been arrested and appeared in various courts for incitement of public violence, and law enforcement agencies and the National Prosecution Authority assist with ensuring successful prosecutions and further arrests. Cabinet noted that the number of deaths as a result of violence that has remained at 354, with the numbers reported as deaths linked to the violence or unrest in Gauteng unchanged at 79 and unchanged in KwaZulu-Natal at 275 as of yesterday, the 4th of August 2021. For the numbers reported of deaths in KwaZulu-Natal, eThekwini Metro accounts for the highest number of 122. Of the deaths reported in eThekwini, 36 were reported in Phoenix, and of the 36, 29 were murders and 7 were inquests, and of the 29 murders, 22 suspects have already been arrested for those murders and appeared in court. Cabinet urges the communities in KwaZulu-Natal to work together and support government efforts to address racial tensions and undertones that threaten to undermine the values of the founding fathers of our democratic, non-racial and equal South Africa, who have given up their freedom and their lives for us to be here. On rebuilding the economy, Cabinet welcomed the 36 billion in economic relief support from government as a second set of package of interventions to get the country back on its feet from the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic and exacerbated by the unrest and destruction of business properties that took place in KwaZulu-Natal, Gauteng, and some parts of Mpumalanga, albeit at a very small scale in Mpumalanga. The bulk of this relief is for the 350 rands social relief of distress grant to alleviate poverty and hunger amongst the poorest in the society, and the support package for employees and businesses. Government continues to seek additional support package to ensure a speedy economic recovery in line with the economic reconstruction and recovery plan of the country, as tabled by the President. The task of rebuilding the economy belongs to all South Africans, and Cabinet called on every citizen and the private sector to join our national efforts to rebuild together, rebuild better, and rebuild faster for a prosperous, equal, and a better South Africa. On energy, Cabinet welcomed the completion of Medupi Power Station with all the 6 generation units fully on the grid. This will go a long way in alleviating the pressure on the grid, and government remains focused on ensuring energy security. Cabinet wishes to congratulate Ms. Zandi Shange, the project director for the Medupi Power Station, for bringing this mammoth power plant fully online. As the history of construction engineering is written, the women of our country will be fully represented, as Ms. Shange is the first African woman to deliver a project of this magnitude. Government has urged both the management and employees of Eskom to stay on course and deliver on the outstanding power stations, including on renewables. On Israel observer status in the African Union and the Commission, Cabinet strongly objects to the unjust and unilateral decision by the chairperson of the African Union Commission to grant Israel observer status in the AU. The AU is the legitimate representative of all African member states that should be consulted on such decisions. The AU embodies the aspirations of all Africans and carries the mark of confidence in its leadership of the African people. Therefore, it should endeavor to take decisions which are not in conflict with the principles of the AU Charter. The continued occupation of Palestine by Israel remains totally unjust and shameful and takes away the human rights of Palestinians. The unilateral decision follows the recent unjust attacks on innocent Palestinians by the Israelis in East Jerusalem and Gaza. Cabinet calls on the AU to reconsider its unilateral decision to grant Israel an observer status in the AU. It remains unequivocally committed to efforts aimed at reviving political process that will lead to the establishment of a viable Palestinian state existing side by side in peace with Israel. The cabinet decisions that were taken are as follows. On Women's Month commemoration, Cabinet approved the theme and activities for the commemoration of this year's Women's Month, which pays tribute to the more than 20,000 women who marched to the Union buildings in Pretoria on the 9th of August 1956 in protest against the extension of past laws to women. This year's events will be celebrated under the theme, The Year of Charlotte Maxeke, Realizing Women's Rights. The theme is aligned to the year-long celebration of the 150th anniversary of struggle stalwart Charlotte Maxeke. The brave actions of these women encourage us to rebuild our nation to become stronger after the recent public violence in KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng and from the socio-economic and health impact of COVID-19. These incidents have showed us that when we stand together as a peace-loving and law-abiding nation, we can overcome any challenge that affects us. While our nation has made great strides for women's rights, we need more to be done to entrench gender equality and fight the scourge of gender-based violence and abuse of women in our society and ensure full economic empowerment for women. Cabinet called on all sectors of society to make our policies on gender equality a lived reality and take a stand against violence against women by reporting perpetrators to the nearest police stations, but also including women in economic activities of society. Report on the Interministerial Committee, IMC, which was doing an inquiry on the National Student Financial Aid Scheme. Cabinet approved the release of the report of the IMC inquiry into National Student Financial Aid Scheme. The committee was appointed in May 2020 to look into the business processes, systems, and capacity of the NSFAS to deliver on its mandate. The investigation focused on the root causes of the problems experienced by the NSFAS and the implementation of the new bursary scheme since 2018. The inquiry provided valuable recommendations towards improving the operations of NSFAS. Cabinet appreciated that some of these recommendations have already been implemented. The report can be accessed through the Department of Higher Education and Training website, www.dhet.gov.za. On the National Infrastructure Plan 2050, Cabinet approved the publication of the National Infrastructure Plan 2050 for public comment. The plan drives the country's infrastructure investment, which also integrates African economies through some of its regional projects. In addition to driving economic growth, it also addresses the legacy of apartheid and spatial injustices. It is anchored on the participation of government, business, state-owned entities, and civil society. Its priority sectors include energy, freight transport, water, and digital communication. The NIP 2020 will soon be gazetted for public consultation. On the incorporation of the Small Enterprise Finance Agency and Cooperative Banks Development Agency into the Small Enterprise Development Agency, Cabinet approved the incorporation of CIFA and CBDA into the SEDA. The merger of these entities will enable an integrated government support to small, micro, and medium enterprises, as well as the cooperatives, with effect from 1st April 2022. A proposed single agency will provide both financial and non-financial support to these businesses. By pulling all the resources together, the agency will be more impactful and accessible in all the districts and metros in line with our district development model. The approved incorporation will result in the reclassification of SEDA, which will also be renamed, in terms of the Public Finance Management Act 1991 Act Number 1, from a Schedule 3A to a Schedule 2 entity. Cabinet approved the extension of the Board of Directors of CIFA to the 31st of March 2022 to enable the alignment of the commencement of the transitional arrangement with effect from 1st of April 2022, and also the alignment of the term of office of the Board of SEDA. Norms and standards for the safe operation of tourism during COVID-19 and other pandemics. Cabinet approved the norms and standards for the safe operations of the tourism sector in the context of the COVID-19 and other related pandemics. The norms and standards provide common minimum health and safety measures that will ensure uniformity across the tourism sector. They will cover services such as accommodation, food, tour operators, casinos, weddings, and other related activities. We are now at par with international markets, and it will enable the sector to fully open for international tourist arrivals. On the National Conference on Migration and Urbanization in South Africa, Cabinet endorsed the National Conference on Migration and Urbanization in South Africa held virtually from 26th to 30th July 2021. Migration and urbanization have been part of South Africa's 4 population policy priorities since 2015. The conference took stock of the available data, knowledge, and information on migration and urbanization trends in the country. Such information serves as evidence base for policy and program development, including planning in all 3 spheres of government. The conference was organized collaboratively with relevant government departments, research community, and civil society. The conference culminated in the setting up of a forum for migration and urbanization data and research to serve as a knowledge resource to support the work of migration and urbanization planning. On South Africa's election as an international civil aviation organization designated Regional Space Weather Center, Cabinet approved and welcomed the designation of South Africa as a Regional Space Weather Center for the International Civil Aviation Organization. This was announced after South Africa received excellent audit results from ICAO. South Africa, through the South African National Space Agency, has been designated to provide space weather information that is now an adopted standard by ICAO for all aviation requirements. South Africa has been given 3 years to upgrade its current limited capacity to meet ICAO's requirements. The requirements require 24 hours, 7 days operations with an established team of trained forecasters and specialist space researchers. It has also been granted permission to collaborate with the Pan-European Consortium for Aviation Space Weather User Service. The designation affords South Africa an opportunity to grow its science and engineering technology and innovation sector and puts the country in the map as a global player in the space science field. On African Regional Cooperative Agreement for Research, Development and Training related to nuclear science and technology, or commonly known as AFRA, Cabinet approved the submission to Parliament for the revised agreement for another 5 years. AFRA is an intergovernmental agreement established by the African member states to further strengthen and enlarge the contribution of nuclear science and technology to socio-economic development on the African continent. South Africa has been an active member of AFRA and it collaborates with other member states to promote agreements' objectives on the African continent. On the national freshwater, which is on inland, wild capture fisheries policy, Cabinet approved the national freshwater inland wild capture fisheries policy for implementation. The policy provides an efficient regulatory regime for the inland fisheries sector. It also formalizes the currently informal and unrecognized activities of small-scale fisheries. The policy, amongst others, provides for the setting up of developmental fisheries governance institutions, support to growing inland fisheries value chain, management of sustainable inland fishing, and addresses the issue of equity and transformation of the sector. On proposed pre-release calendar for the publication of crime statistics for the 2021-2022 financial year, Cabinet approved the proposed pre-release calendar for the publication of the quarterly crime statistics for the 2021-2022 financial year. The proposed remaining pre-release calendar crime statistics is August 2021 for quarter 1 and November 2021 for quarter 2. Crime statistics for quarter 3 and quarter 4 will be released in February and May 2022 respectively. On bills, the first bill is the Old Persons Amendment Bill of 2021. Cabinet approved the submission of the Older Persons Amendment Bill of 2021 for tabling in Parliament. The bill amends the current Older Persons Act of 2006, Act number 13. The amendment seeks to strengthen measures that protect older persons. It improves the services offered to older persons such as social support, health, community-based and residential-based care. The proposed bill introduces the monitoring and evaluation of services offered to older persons. It also provides for the removal of older persons with disabilities from hostile or unhealthy environment without obtaining a court order. On the draft Non-Profit Organizations NPO Amendment Bill of 2021, Cabinet approved the publication of the draft NPO Amendment Bill for public comment. The bill amends the current NPO Act of 1997, Act number 71. The act was meant to create an enabling environment in which NPOs could be formed and function optimally. Over time, gaps have been identified, particularly on smaller NPOs and community-based organizations. The proposed amendment addresses the challenges faced by smaller NPOs, deals with the abuse of NPOs, and simplifies accessibility procedures. It also proposes the setting up of the NPO registrar to strengthen the servicing, monitoring, and promotion of transparency and accountability of NPOs. On upcoming events, this Women's Day, President Cyril Ramaphosa will deliver a virtual Women's Day address on Monday, 9 August 2021, as part of the country's celebration of Women's Month under the theme, the year of Charlotte Maxeke, Realizing Women's Rights. The second event is the brave actions of these. The second event is there's no second event. On the messages of congratulations, Cabinet extends its congratulations and well wishes to Tatiana Schoonmaker, got it right, for claiming South Africa's first Olympic gold medal in Tokyo, Japan, after completing in the women's 200-meter breaststroke final in the world record time. She had earlier won a silver medal during 100 meters breaststroke, and she received a call from the president for the fitting tribute she has done for our country. Bianca Bettendach for winning silver in the women's surfing finalist. These outstanding achievements of the Tokyo Olympics bring our nation's medal tally to 3. On condolences, Cabinet expressed its condolences to the family and friends of Mr. Shona Ferguson, the television and film producer and actor who contributed enormously to the development and the country's film industry. Mr. Clive Scott, the TV veteran and legendary actor who graced our screens for many years. Mr. Tshepo Tsula, the legendary musician who shares his heritage both in the country of South Africa and that of Lesotho. Mr. Panderani Jonathan Mudziwa Makado, who was 99 years of age, a veteran political activist who was one of the leaders of the 1960 anti-pass campaign and who also dedicated his life to the struggle for democracy and freedom. And to Mama Talita Monica Libia Mampuru, 87, who fought tirelessly for the liberation of this country, as well as a non-racial, non-sexist, and a free South Africa. She was the first matron of the Solomon Mahlangu Freedom College, commonly known as SOMAFCO. Mr. Jeff Makubo, the executive mayor of the city of Johannesburg, a selfless and hardworking leader who championed service delivery. He was a regional chairperson of the African National Congress in Johannesburg. Mr. Rutendo Benedict Sgogo, the acting Mpumalanga High Court judge and commissioner of the Judicial Service Commission, and a lawyer with a stellar career in the legal profession and was a dedicated champion of transformation. He also served as the president of the Black Lawyers Association. And to the family and relatives of members of parliament who have passed on recently from across all political parties. On appointments, all appointments are subject to the verification of qualifications and the relevant clearance. The first appointment is that of Advocate Nomalanga Petronella Sitole as Chief Executive Officer of the National Energy Regulator of South Africa, and Ms. Danile Nyakale as the representative of the Industrial Development Corporation on the board of the State Diamond Traders. And to the Board of Directors of the Land Affairs Board, Ms. Lusanda Nomasango Neshitenje as the Chairperson, Mr. Masupa Mushweshwe, Advocate Anthony Mr. Anthony, how do I pronounce it? Mr. Anthony Fefiers, and Dr. James Fraser Bolhal, and Ms. Precious Hlengiwe Magwe. I need to practice the surnames more. And on the additional board of directors of the South African Diamonds and Precious Metals Regulator, Mr. Veranda Magna and Ms. Ndibuo Munyai. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister. I think we will take questions. Should I start with the online ones or the ones in the house? I did see a few journalists. Nothing for now? Okay, let's have online.
Thanks, DG. For now, we've got about 3 questions.
You did a good job, Minister. Only 3.
The first one is from Khau, Chakranda FM. She's asking, did the cabinet discuss the 0.5 meters social distancing in primary schools to allow the primary schools to fully return to 100% capacity? The Minister of Education said this would be discussed. What is Cabinet's position on this? The second one is from Erin Bates from Business Day. He's got 2 questions. The first one is, last Thursday, Minister Ntshavheni said the Public Enterprises Minister and Transnet would hold a media briefing on the cyber attack. That has not yet happened. Why? The second question says, it is a month since the unrest first started. Has government set timelines by when all suspects will have first appeared in court? If not, why not?
That's all, eh?
There's about 2 more.
Okay.
Okay. The first one, the third one is from Lise Gatando, Mail and Guardian. She's asking, Minister, there's been a lot of talk around the cabinet reshuffle. Can you share if the President has made any indication whether he will be addressing the nation this week? She further asks, in terms of the vaccine rollout, has the government made provisions for foreign nationals, documented or undocumented? Also, has the government made any provision for the homeless? She again asks, has the police minister indicated whether law enforcement intends to investigate the former President Zuma's children, specifically those who incited violence on social media? The next question is from Leveling Prince of Network. Did Cabinet discuss the Digital Vibes report and further action against Dr. Zweli Mkhize? The second question from the same, did President Cyril Ramaphosa give any indication to Cabinet on when he will reshuffle Cabinet? There are concerns about the health of Deputy President David Mabuza. Is the Deputy President back in South Africa? And when will he be back at work? Does the President have any intention to speak to the Springbok rugby team for encouragement ahead of their last test match against the British Lions this coming Saturday? I'll stop there for now, teacher.
Okay. I think that's enough.
Thank
I
you.
think it's quite a bit, Minister.
Yeah, I've sent somebody to quickly bring them.
Thank you. I must report to the nation that today GCIS has decided to dehydrate me. We have a long cabinet statement and we don't have water. The first question is around the issue that was raised by Minister Mtsega around the distance of primary school kids. Minister Mtsega indicated that it will be raised at the NCCC, National Coronavirus Command Council, and indeed that matter is being discussed at NEJOINS to prepare it to go to the National Corona Council Command Council. But the Minister and the Department of Education has been working closely with the Department of Health and getting advisory from the Department of Health to the best safety of our learners at school. And what the Department of Education is implementing is currently advised by the specialists in the field who know what are the infection rates on children, including the odd circumstances around the Delta variant. On the cyber attack briefing about by Transnet and Minister Pravin Gordhan, the cyber briefing was postponed because at that point Transnet had felt that they've provided sufficient information to the public. If there's any other update, they will come and provide a briefing. If you'll recall that they were releasing statements every day, providing updates on what was happening at Transnet, but they felt at that point there's no additional information that required to be brought through, and we should have notified yourself that that briefing has been cancelled. On whether Cabinet has set timelines for arrest and appearing of those in court who were responsible for the unrest, the Cabinet does not have, it's not the duty of Cabinet to set timelines. The duty of Cabinet is to indicate to the police and law enforcement agencies that everybody must be brought to book. And that must be done as soon as possible, because if Cabinet sets a timeline, what if the timeline is very long, whereas the law enforcement agencies can work closer or quicker? And so what we are happy with is that the briefing that continue to be provided to the National Security Council, which is chaired by the President, is indicating speedy progress and firm progress from our law enforcement agencies. But we can reassure you again, as indicated in the statement, that everybody will be brought to book. And maybe linked to that, let me deal with the question of whether the Minister of Police has indicated whether the Zuma children will be investigated. We have indicated that the investigations will affect anybody and everyone, irrespective of whose child they are, which position they occupy, which organization they belong to, which profession they are in, whether they are a celebrity or an ordinary person. If they are implicated, they will be investigated, they will be arrested, and will be prosecuted. There is equality before the law. I think as a country, the recent past have also indicated that we are all equal before the law. There is no holy cows in this country. And on cabinet reshuffle, that remains the prerogative of the president. And on this one, I'm also a takey, so I cannot be voting for Christmas. So I cannot be indicating whether the reshuffle is happening where and whatever. So I'm taking, guys. You need to understand. That's so little remains with the president. And he didn't even pass me a message of whether I should announce when is he addressing the nation. Because on this one, I'm fully a takey. You know, we can't. When you want Christmas, you go and ask a turkey or a chicken to say, can we have Christmas? If you do, they will never agree. So please, colleagues, let's not make my life difficult on this one. Let's leave the president to his duties. I can step in other things, but not that one. On the vaccination query, whether foreign nationals will, we are considering the vaccination of foreign nationals, documented, undocumented, and homeless. As the Minister of Health, Acting Minister of Health has indicated, the government is committed to vaccinating everybody in the country, and those who are undocumented will work with Home Affairs, because part of the agreement that we have signed with the vaccine manufacturers is that everybody who's vaccinated must be accounted for. So those who are not documented must be documented. We'll have to find a mechanism of getting them documented, because we must trace them for not only for our own sake, but also for their own sake. In case they have after effects, they must be able to be treated, and there must be support given to them. So they must be traceable, including our homeless. We are hoping that as they come through for vaccination, we'll have a mechanism with the Department of Home Affairs to also get them documented, those who are not documented, and also put them into the social service care, because we have a responsibility as a government to remove our homeless from the streets and put them in facilities provided for by their government for social support, which are the safety homes and care centers that they may require before they are reintegrated back to their families and their communities. On whether the Digital Vibes report has been discussed in cabinet, the report of Digital Vibe is a report that is that was assigned by the president, that was requested by the president from the SIU, who the president instructed the SIU to investigate the matter, and that remains with his sole prerogative to release it to the public, and is not within the mandate of cabinet to discuss such reports. And also, Minister Mkhize is a minister. His appointment, his stay in cabinet, his discipline, it remains the sole prerogative of the president and not myself. On whether the president will call on the Springboks to for well wishes as on the Lions tour, the president will indeed call the Springboks. Remember, they remain our heroes for the heroic work they did with the World Cup, and we call them to give them words of encouragement or to congratulate them when they win the series. On the deputy president is back in the country, and he's back at work, and he's fit and healthy. Thank you.
I think we'll take the last round, as I usually take just 2 rounds. Peliswa?
Thanks, Gigi. For now, we've got one question from Paul Vecchiato. Paul is asking, has Cabinet received the new private power regulations from the Minister of Mineral Resources and Energy? If so, when will Cabinet approve them? That is all for now. Thank you.
Okay. I think that's the last question, Minister, and we are done.
Thank you. On the new power regulations from the Minister of Mineral Resources and Energy, that's why they are called regulations. They are ministerial determination. It remains the determination of the minister. And in terms of the information that we have, they are soon to be gazetted. Thank you. And maybe just to end, on behalf of the generation that I belong to, the 35 to 49, we want to make sure that we save this nation. So we are calling all of you, our age group, to go out and vaccinate. The challenge is on. Next week, we want, at the weekends, we want to reach 12 million because the 18 to 34-year-olds cannot beat us. They are already preparing their cooler boxes and all other things which I can't mention here. The spirit is on. They've hired the DJs. So guys, can we go out and vaccinate? Next week, Friday, 12 million. Can we get to the challenge? 12 million. Here we come, South Africa. We got this one. Thank you.
I think we are done.
Teacher.
Thank you very much. The briefing is adjourned. And thank you very much, Minister.